Welcome to another live. My name is Laken, and I go live every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern to chat about goals and life and all the things and answer any questions that are on your mind. And I'm excited to be back with you today. We had a week off last week. I was supposed to be out of town. That trip actually ended up getting canceled, but because there was a video already scheduled to go in its place, I took last Wednesday off and just chilled at home. So let's start with our first question that we always start with. What is one small win that you have to share from the last week? You know, it doesn't have to be huge. Small progress is still progress. So what is your one small win from last week or 2 weeks since we've chatted? If you are here live, please say hello in the live chat and let me know what your win is. And if you are part of the replay fam, please say hello in the comments and let us know what your win is there as well. I love reading your wins in the comment section. While I wait for some of those comments to come in, I'm going to share my win, which was I got all my goals set up for Q4, which includes the intention of no goals December. No personal goals December. I will still have business goals. Vlogmas is still happening. Do not fret. But that's going to be next week's topic. I'm going to talk all about that on next week's call. But I am excited. That is definitely my win for the week. Hello, hello, hello. Getting some more workouts in. Amazing. I don't know if YouTube is just being slow or everyone is being quiet and shy today. I'm going to give it another second. Setting up a huge email welcome sequence that I've been avoiding. It feels so good to get it done. Why are the things we avoid always so simple? Our brains are sometimes our worst enemy, right? We think that it's going to be so much more complicated or take so much more time than it actually does. You already know your one little word for 2025. I love that. Got through your work to-do list, planted your fall winter garden, broccoli, collards, cabbage, and Brussels sprouts. Jennifer, that is amazing. I love that. That is so cool. Thank you for sharing. So many fun wins. I also always love how different all of our wins are. We're all working on different things. We all have different goals, different visions for what we want our life to look like. And it's just so fun to see everybody's different wins. See, Priscilla goes, I miss gardening. Whereas me is, I'm like, I'm okay. Like we're almost like, I'm actually okay if I end up in a place without a yard. Like although look at my plant back here, y'all. Look at these. It has like 4 new sprouts off of it, which is amazing. I'm really proud of this plant. A plant shop whose name is not coming to me at the second actually sent this to me for free like 4 years ago. And when I still lived in New York and I kept it alive there, I moved to Chicago and I've kept it alive here. Like, I'm just very proud of that plant. So, all right. Oh my gosh, your word came to you this week as well. That's amazing. It's funny. I hate bugs, but growing a garden felt so fulfilling. That's fair. That is a reasonable way to feel about things. All right. Let's quickly move into my reading updates. Same books as last week. I've made a little bit of progress on both of them. So it's not 0 like it was the last week. I guess it's been 2 weeks though. So I'm still reading the 4th book of A Court of Thorns and Roses. And I'm about 22% of the way through that. And then my nonfiction book is Gap in the Gain. And I'm about 56% of the way through that. That's it. That's all I got for reading this week. It's very short. Okay. Let's talk about my monthly goals though, because it has been a while. I'm going to make myself a smidge bigger. Hopefully you can still see this. It's been 2 weeks since I've shared an update with you. And so I have a lot to share. So the first thing that I'll touch on is that I checked in with my numbers for spending less time on my phone. So I looked at actually how much time, hours and minutes wise on Instagram, games. Okay, those hours is more like the total. And my Instagram average is actually up for the month. So I did not give myself a check mark in that progress section. Still possible that I lower it for the overall month as long as I lower it a lot on a day-to-day basis. But then for the other 2, I have lowered it. So I'm overall feeling really good about that goal. Obviously, I will talk way more in depth about that in like my Q3 goals recap video. And then I went ahead and crossed off finishing a photo album. I just decided that this month has too much going on and that was not a priority. My weekly tasks are kind of been a little bit hit or miss. I definitely anticipated that I had set too many goals for September, and the weekly is kind of where it's showing through. There's just too much going on and those have kind of fallen to the wayside. Daily stuff has been pretty good. Nothing like drastically terrible, except I was kind of lazy last week in terms of my Apple Watch rings, but otherwise it's as most of my daily goals are. It's not perfect, but it's not zero. I'm making progress and I feel good about that. I'm glad I have all of these on my goal sheet, and more typically means that they're not going to be perfect. I mean, they're never going to be perfect. Unless all you did was focus on like one daily item and that is it, you're likely going to have days that you miss. And that's just what happens. Okay. Before we move into the topic, I actually don't have a pop-up for this, but we're going to make one really quick because I want to make sure that I talk about this. So we are almost to the point where there is 100 days left in the year. Every year, it starts on September 23rd. That's just how the math works out. From September 23rd, like counting that day through December 31st, there are 100 days left in the year, which actually feels like a lot. Like the end of September feels like, oh my gosh, we're so close to the new year. But at the same time, 100 days is a lot of days. Like you could make a lot of progress on something in 100 days. So what I've done in the past is encourage you to pick one thing that is important to you that you want to prioritize over the course of the last 100 days of the year. And we didn't get to do it last year because my little peanut arrived 3 weeks early and I didn't have time to create the trackers and to tell you about it and all of the things. So I'm excited to check in and actually do it this year. My hair is driving me bonkers. And the even better news is that it starts on a Monday. So you can pick one thing that you want to prioritize over the last 100 days and start it on Monday. Now, when I say start, it doesn't have to mean that it's brand new. It could be something that you're already doing and you just want to say, this is my priority for the last 100 days. I'm going to be doing my water intake, which as you can see, like was already on my goals. Water is already on my goals, but that's still going to be what I focus on for my last 100 days. I don't want to lose that. I know that I'm going to probably need more waters. It starts to get a little bit cooler outside. And so that is going to be what I prioritize. It doesn't have to be super complicated. It doesn't have to be super, in fact, I want it to be so small. Pick something that you know will help you, most importantly, carry that momentum into the new year. So something that you realistically could do for the last 100 days, not every day. It's not gonna be perfect. I know that. Mine's not going to be, yours isn't going to be either, but something that can help you carry that momentum through the new year. Only one. Yes, only one for this. It doesn't mean that you can't have other goals that you want to work on over the next 100 days. And not saying that this is the only thing that you focus on. I'm just saying that this is going to be the one thing that you carry through, something that you're not going to necessarily change as we change throughout the months. I love this and I'm totally do that. Totally doing it this year. I love it. Make it a big one. No, don't make it a big one. Don't make it a big one. I don't understand what the big deal about it is starting on a Monday. I don't even understand why it's a big deal when a quarter starts on a Monday. That everybody's different. I personally find a lot of that fresh start energy on Mondays. There is something about a Monday that gives me that fresh start energy. I also feel it on the first. I also feel it on a new quarter. I feel it on a new year. And so when those fresh start energies merge and you can have a new month, a new quarter, and a Monday, a new week all start on the same day, it just gives you that extra oomph of fresh start, which can help kind of motivate you to keep going. So it's not like a specific reason. And some people, maybe you don't actually feel that way. And there are probably lots of people that don't feel that extra oomph on a Monday and it doesn't make a difference to you. And if you work like a weird schedule, let's say you work Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, you're definitely not going to feel that fresh start. But for a lot of people where Monday is a different, no, I almost said animal, but like, that's not what I meant. Like, it's just different. Mondays are different because it's the start of a new week. It feels good. That feels like so much pressure. I don't necessarily mean for it to be like pressure. Like it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just that fresh start feeling. I don't know. That's what it is for me. Doesn't mean that it's like that for everybody. I'm personally excited that it starts on a Monday. I think that's really fun. In years past, when we've talked about like the last 100 days and it starts on like a Thursday, I think there's just a lot. People are like, I don't want to start something new on a Thursday, but I think everybody is different. Yeah. Fresh starts. And this year has definitely been good with Monday starts. There's been a lot of Monday starts. No, definitely doesn't have to be perfect at all. Everybody is different. Everybody, I mean, like my mom is retired, so she probably doesn't feel that much different on a Monday compared to other people, right? So, any other questions, thoughts, comments on this? There is a tracker on Instagram. I posted it on my stories yesterday, which means it's going to disappear at some point today. I'm going to save it to highlights. Let's be honest. I'm going to go save it to my highlights. Let me write that down actually, so I don't forget to do that. Save 100 days to highlights. So you can grab it there. If you want to just have me send it to you, send me a DM on Instagram and I'm going to send it to you. If you're a member of the community, there's a PDF version. I don't think I pressed live on it in Teachable. I will put it there today. If you want to have a physical like PDF version, you can also print out the picture one. It's just sized for Instagram stories as opposed to the PDF, which is sized for 8.5 by 11. No, you are not going to ask my community chat for dating. I don't know if you guys saw that before I deleted it. There was a guy who was like, if you're interested in dating. Alrighty, let's move on. So the topic this week is summer flexibility. Oh, I didn't click this one. First off, the topic this week is a bunch of thoughts. It's a bunch of things in my head that I'm thinking about it. It's not necessarily going to be tips. It's not going to be like, here's what you need to do or what you should do. That's not the topic. The topic is what I have been thinking about this particular thing. And so hopefully it will help you think about the different seasons in your life. So the topic is quote unquote summer flexibility. And the reason I put summer in quotes is because I'm not necessarily referring to the actual season of summer, right? June 21st, 22nd. I think it changes every year through September 21st, 22nd. Like that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not necessarily even talking about the summer of a school year. My daughter's not in school. I don't work in education. My spouse doesn't work in education. So I don't have anything that changes in a summer in that sense. Whereas those things could potentially apply to you. But what I meant, it was a vague idea. I had a vague idea of something that I wanted. I wanted to be more flexible over the summer. That's what I said. But I did not flush it out and I did not execute on it very well. And so I wanted to share that with you today and then some of the reflection that I've had on that and then some of my thoughts for what I'm going to attempt to do differently next year. So, like I said, first, I didn't necessarily get clear on what summer meant to me. And I don't even necessarily just mean dates, but what do I mean by summer? What makes summer different for me and where I'm at in my life compared to years past, etc. And this is going to change, right? This is not necessarily going to be consistent for the rest of my life because I am eventually going to have a child that is in school and then summer will look different in that scenario. But I didn't get clear on what it meant. So when I reflect on that, what do I mean? My mom's pool is open. So my mom lives in a high rise that has a pool. And when her pool is open, that to me means that it's summer. That typically opens Memorial Day weekend. I actually think it opened a week early this year, but we were out of town. The weather is warm. To me, that means summer. And where I happen to live, that usually doesn't, it depends. June is hit or miss, frankly, here. It could be warm enough to get in the pool, but it could be not. Really, it is July and August, and then September is like June. It's hit or miss. Some days we have that are super warm and some days that are not. But to me, that's what summer means. I live in a place where we have seasons. And so summer means the weather is warm and warm enough to like be in water. And then truthfully, work is a little bit slower for me in the summer because a lot of members of my community do have associations with their children are out of school or they work in education, their spouse works in education. There's a lot of, it just slows down a little bit over the course of the summer. So overall, what I really wanted was sorry, there's a typo I'm going to fix really quick before I pop this up. I wanted to spend less time working and more time enjoying these things. More time outside. And then I don't have this here, but really that flexibility to pivot when I wanted to pivot, right? So if Tuesday was going to be a super rainy day and Thursday was going to be absolutely beautiful, then I wanted to get a lot of work done on Tuesday and then allow Thursday to be an outside day at the pool, whatever. And I did that to some degree. It wasn't like I didn't make those decisions. And if you watch some of my vlogs, like, or Instagram stories, I did do that over the course of the summer, but not as much as I kind of wish that I had done. Also, I do think that future Laken will benefit from this rhythm. Like I said, eventually I will have a child in school and summer will look different for her than it does now. Now, that is obviously years down the road. And I have one of the things I feel like I have worked on over the last couple of years is to stop thinking about like future Laken, future life things to the point that I'm like, well, when we have this, like, no, what do I want right now? What makes sense for my life right now? But I do know that this could benefit me. This is a future thing that is guaranteed, right? The other kind of piece of it was potentially getting a little bit more clear about a list of things. Now, I don't necessarily love the idea of bucket lists. I think that, speaking of pressure, I think making like a seasonal bucket list can put a lot of pressure on you. You're like, I have to get through all these things. It's almost like another to-do list. Like, these are the things I have to do for the season. And it's all this pressure. And if you don't get to it, then like you failed at the season. And obviously, we all know that that's not true, but it is still just an added layer of pressure that is unnecessary and takes the fun out of it. So, what I wish I had done kind of was maybe an option list or an idea list, other than just like the pool. Like, I feel like in my head, I was only thinking about the pool. And there were so many other things that we could have done this summer. Now, was this summer maybe a little bit harder with like call it 7, 8, 9, 10-month old? Like, yeah, it didn't necessarily look like it was a little bit more difficult, but I could have come up with a list of other things. I wish I had gone to more farmers markets. The only one I went to was the one in my mom's neighborhood. And like every neighborhood in our city feels like it has a farmers market. You could go to one like every different day. And I wish I had gone to more of them. Sam really tried to get me to do this and we never like sat down. There were a lot of festivals over the course of the summer and we went to like one. I mean, I know we went to Pride Fest. Maybe we went to another one. And again, some of those options may not have fit right now with Lila, but an ideal list, something that we can kind of take as a starting point to do on those days, especially kind of those in between days where it's like maybe not quite hot enough for the pool, but it's beautiful outside and I want to go enjoy the weather, right? So I don't know what to call it. I don't want to call it a bucket list because I don't want it to be an all or nothing scenario. I don't want it to be, I need to do all of these things over the course of the summer because that's not helpful for me personally. It may be helpful for you. Maybe you love a bucket list. Awesome. But that was something else I wish I had done for this summer. I'm going to check in with the comments. Yes, bucket lists are so daunting. They can be, right? They can absolutely be daunting. I like the idea of an option list and then roll the dice. Oh, that is a fun idea. That's a really fun idea. Summer festivals are so much fun. 100, yeah. And there were so many, and some of them we were out of town. Like I remember seeing an advertisement for like a dumpling festival, and we were going to be out of town. Like it wasn't going to work. And so some of it was that. But I am sure that some of the summer weekends that we were here, there was a festival in the city that we could have gone to, right? And like it could have been fun and awesome. A someday maybe list. Yes, I love that. And then another thing related to this topic that I actually heard another YouTuber talk about is keep the list going so you have the options for next year, right? Like she was talking about how in the past they've tried to do all the holiday stuff, right? This set of lights, that set of lights, this program, the Nutcracker, the Christmas Carol, like all the things. And she's like, we can't do all the things every year. It just doesn't make sense. So we just like pick one. Let's pick one lights thing for this year, one show to go see this year, one, right? And like kind of rotate through them. And I love that idea too. It's like, okay, this summer we're going to do this one. And unless it's like absolutely amazing and we can't imagine not going every summer, which like that's how I feel about Pride Fest. Like I'm going to go every summer. Like that's something that I'm not going to miss. But some of the other festivals or farmers markets, like we can rotate through that. We don't necessarily have to do them all. Yes, making a list of events or activities, not a to-do, but events that are open, available. Yeah. And have them like categorized in terms of like, is this walkable or do we need to have a ride or because we don't own a car? And when it's just my husband and I, like we are total public transportation people. And we have not taken on public transit yet here in Chicago. And we probably totally could do that. But if you've ever gone to a place with a child, like they just come with a lot of stuff. And so it would just be a lot more work. And so typically it's like, if it's not walkable, we either see if one of our family members also wants to go and who has a car, or we take an Uber. And so like having the different lists between like, this is walkable and this is not walkable kind of thing. And then which ones are, like you said, events, activities, which ones are on a set date, right? This festival's on this date, or this farmer's market's on Tuesdays. And which ones are like open all summer, right? Like the zoo. The zoo is a bad example because I feel like you can do that in the spring or the fall. And like that's part of the struggle too, right? Is some of the things are just summer and some of them are all the time. It's just nice weather in the summer, but like we could go to the zoo in the fall and it could still be just as beautiful. So boredom busters. That's a good idea. I don't even know that I necessarily felt bored this summer though. And that's the hard part. And I'm like, where did the summer go and what did we do this summer? I know we had a lot of company. We had a lot of people come visit. And so that could have been part of it too. The other thing that obviously is a component that I touched on a little bit that I don't have an answer to yet is, what's the time frame for this? This summer I followed the quarter. And so in reality, it was like July, August, September, which lines up closer to like the actual definition of the season. But I don't think that's actually it in my head. Like to me, it's like the end of Memorial Day to Labor Day, right? So like June, July, August. So that is kind of what I want to do next year. And so then what does that mean for my business goals? Do I do my business goals on a slightly different cadence? But at the same time, like there's just so many factors to think about. And like another one just popped in my head. And I don't know. I feel like this video is just me kind of reflecting, sharing with you the thoughts that I have had about it. And if you have any thoughts or suggestions, I am open to them. And I appreciate if you've done something similar that works for you. But at the end of the day, my goal is to don't feel like I don't want to say wasted the summer, because I don't feel like I did. I don't feel like we wasted the summer. But I also feel like I'm sitting here thinking like, what did we do that made summer feel like summer? So I hibernate in front of the AC because I hate New York City in the summer. And Allison, that is, I think, one of the things that made me want to do it differently, because I agree. New York City in the summer is kind of gross and it kind of empties out, right? The city feels slow. People go to different places. It's really hot and humid. And you go through these like massive temperature changes between like the subway platform and then like the actual AC on the subway car. And it's not necessarily enjoyable. And Chicago's not like that. It's beautiful here in the summer. It doesn't feel that way. And I want to take advantage of that. So those are just some of my thoughts overall. Instead of just what I want to do going forward. And I guess I could extrapolate this to other quarters as well. But instead of just using the quarterly goal refresh, whatever time of year I decide to do it, as a time to check in and change my goals, I want to spend a little bit more time thinking about the quarter that we're actually in. Like, what are some of the other things I'd like to do? What are some of the other things? Would I like to focus a little bit more on work? Would I like to pull back a little bit on work? Would I like to be a little bit more flexible? Like, what does that look like? And like I mentioned, I am doing that a little bit with Q4 by thinking about the fact that I don't want to have goals in December. No personal goals, no goals December, which is what we'll talk about next week. But if you do need a quarterly refresh, if you want to check in with your annual goals and set quarterly goals, we have one more quarterly refresh call for the community this year. It is on Saturday. If you're here live or watching this before Saturday, it's this Saturday, the 21st at 11 a.m. Eastern. And I'm excited to get set up for Q4. I mean, I've done all of mine, but I'm excited to help you do that as well. So I'm going to come back to the comments really quick. I think there are a couple of months that are scheduled last like December and May And then you could break it up equally with the other months. That's an interesting thought. Maybe you need a December daily in July to showcase that you do a lot in the summer. Oh, I kind of like that idea. That's fun. That's a fun idea. Yeah, maybe it's about like extrapolating other things that we do other times of year and pulling it into a time that we want to pull that. That I know that was a lot of like fake words, but you know what I'm saying? Like take the ideas from other times of the year and do it then. Almost like, we all decorate, not we all, but a lot of people decorate for the holidays, right? Could we decorate for other things that make us happy, right? I know there was a YouTuber, I can't remember who it was now, who was talking about like leaving up their Christmas tree and just decorating it for different holidays. Like, I was like, that's so fun. What a fun idea. Which reminds me, a real quick question, real quick poll. If you're here live, let me know in the chat. And if you're watching the replay, do you decorate for Halloween? A, and B, have you decorated yet? Because I bought some Halloween decorations last year and I had them out early because I bought them and like I wasn't going to put them away to put them back out, right? And so I need to go get them before like from the storage unit. And I'm like, when do I do that? Like it feels kind of early, but at the same time, like I want to enjoy just kick the light. I want to enjoy my Halloween decorations. There's a giant bug on the wall, you guys. Okay, cool. Great. I used to decorate for every holiday, but now I'm so busy. Maybe it's picking, it doesn't have to be an all or nothing thing, Priscilla. Maybe it's like I decorate this one thing or I decorate this one like component. Like in my head, I bought this like super cute ghost pillow and I just like want him to be on the couch. Like I'm ready to have the ghost pillow on the couch. I think we gave him a name too, and now I can't remember the name of the ghost. October 1st. Okay. But I also love Halloween. Yeah, I do too. I love Halloween. I haven't decided yet, but spider decorations are already here. Yeah, there is a bug that's already decorating my wall. The bug is joining the live. He really is. What is he? Oh my God. Okay, sorry. I'm sure you also want to get out more in the summer because winters are harder in Chicago. That's definitely true. I think that in different, depending on where you live, you may feel the opposite on the scenario. Though it is harder in the winter to be outside. That's true. Put them on the couch. Yeah. I mean, I need to get to the storage unit. I need my mom to take me to the storage unit so I can get them on the couch. But yes, I think it's time. Yeah, I decorate for fall the second week of August. It still feels like summer here in California, but I want to enjoy it. That's how I feel too. And I think it's different if you're decorating for fall and it's like going to carry through Thanksgiving versus decorating for Halloween, right? In my brain, those are two different things. I feel like we've definitely gone on a tangent at this point. But then I also I know last year I talked about how I wanted to decorate for Christmas early because I was just ready and I just wanted it to be up. And I definitely, I put some Christmas decorations up like the first weekend in November. I would say decorate for what you like, especially if you don't decorate for fall. I decorate for Christmas in November and leave it half through January. And see, I don't like to leave mine up in January. I want mine down for the new year. Like I want the new year to be fresh and no Christmas decor up. But I did it like half and half. I did half of it that first weekend in November, like the fake Christmas tree and like some of the decor. And then I did the other half the weekend after Thanksgiving, went and got a real tree and like did the rest of the decor. So that's probably what I'll do this year for Christmas. Yes, for Halloween, haven't done it yet. My favorite Halloween decoration is a framed pictures of my kids each year in their costume. Kim, that is such a fun idea. I love that so much. Oh my gosh. That's such a fun idea. In general, I love this idea for decorating for holidays with pictures from prior holidays. Like you could do this for Christmas, right? Like you could have pictures from prior Christmases that are part of your Christmas decor. You could do this for Valentine's Day. Oh my gosh. So smart. Oh, I love it. Halloween stuff is out in stores. Yeah, I need to get what I bought last year because I honestly don't remember besides the cute ghost pillow and figure out what I bought before I like potentially buy anything else. I want to enjoy the decorations. Totally. Put your Halloween stuff up now and enjoy it. Maybe next year you won't want to. That's true. Every year could be different. No, that's exactly what you just said. Every year is different. I used to decorate for Christmas right after Thanksgiving and down by January 1st, but now I don't feel that way. It's quick turnaround from October 31st and November, which means Thanksgiving to me. So from witches to turkey. Totally. Now I have winter decor I leave up in January and February. Yeah, that's how my mom does it too. Her Christmas decor is very wintry. And so she leaves hers up all through like January and like end of February. Because it's all very wintry and it's like, glitter and sparkles and silver and snowflakes. And so it doesn't feel Christmassy. Whereas like I feel like all of our holiday decor is very holiday-y. I put out my December daily albums as Christmas decor. Yeah, I've done that too. I put out the week in the life as summer decor. Oh, what a cute idea. Oh my gosh, you guys, see, we all get the best ideas from each other. I appreciate this conversation about decor and decorating for the holidays. I feel like I never was really serious about decorating for the holidays living in New York because our apartments were so small that any additional decor, even if I like took things away, but like there wasn't space to like store all this stuff, right? Like where was I going to store a different pillow? But if I added another pillow, it just felt crowded in there. And so I didn't really decorate too much for the holidays in New York, but now I want to do all the decorating. I love the holidays, all of them. So fun. Okay, we got on a little bit of a tangent. Hopefully you took something away from this conversation, thinking about our seasons. Obviously, I'm going to bring you along. I'm going to tell you what I decide next year when I decide to change my goals or shift my goals around. And maybe who knows? Who knows? This is just what I'm thinking. And I wanted to take a second to reflect now while it's fresh in my mind. And then I will think about, obviously make a solid decision when the time comes next year. Get one set of pillows and pillow covers, easier to store. I've heard that. We need new couch pillows anyway, because the ones that I picked out were super cute and they're feathered. And the feathers now are like coming through and they're everywhere. And my tiny human wants to put them in her mouth. So advent calendars are already starting to come out. Oh, totally they are. My mom actually got one for Lila already, even though I don't. I think she's going to start opening them now. It's a rubber ducky advent calendar because she's super into rubber duckies. I did the photos for Valentine's Day too. Yes, because we have some really cute photos of Lila from Valentine's Day. And so like, let's decorate with those next year. I love it. Okay. That's it in terms of what I have prepared. Thank you for having this conversation with me. It is now your time. Feel free to ask anything, any questions that are on your mind. It can be about your individual goals or struggles, a topic that you want to chat about. If you don't know how to phrase it into a question, you can just put topic or whatever is on your mind, whatever you want to chat about. The only thing I require from you is the wine and cheese from Aldi, 100%. My mom is actually going on a vacation and she leaves that night, like the night it comes out. And I'm like, but your flight's at night, right? Like we have to go to Aldi in the morning. Like, that is a requirement. Oh yeah. Just reminding Laken in 6 weeks. Don't buy the candle one. It was terrible. No candle. I purchased Advents in July and August. This way I don't stress. That's so smart. I feel like I looked early one time though, and I couldn't find any that early. So I don't know where you, find them. Okay. Sorry. I moved on to the next question. thought you might not want to chat about this moment. Time blocking. I'm shifting to time block versus days of the week to work. What do you mean by, does that make sense? Like this week, I'm trying to work 20 time blocks, 30-minute blocks instead of I'm going to work 4 days a week. Yes. Okay. This, I will elaborate more on this in my Q3 goals video, but the summary that I will tell you is that 100% works for me so much better. I find that this especially is true for having a baby, but like my days and weeks don't always look the same. My energy levels don't always look the same. And so by saying I'm going to work 20 time blocks this week and figuring out where those go in my week works so much better for me. But then also setting a goal to be specific about it, instead of saying like, I'm going to do these tasks, saying I'm going to work these hours just has worked so much better for me this quarter, because we're all not great at estimating how long things are going to take. It's just true. Stuff that I do again and again, like this live, I know exactly how long it takes me to prep the live, do the live, and do the stuff that I do on the back end of it. I know how long that takes. But a project that I'm doing for the first time, I can estimate it to the best of my ability, but I tend to be off all the time in some direction. I either underestimate or I overestimate. I'm not consistent about it either. And so by saying I'm going to work a certain number of task blocks, I don't either feel like I wasted a week. Like if I totally overestimated, I said something was going to take me 10 task blocks and I put that on my to-do list for the week, and then it only takes me 5, and then I don't do something else. That sometimes I get to the end of the week and I feel like I wasted the week. But then on the flip side, if I say I'm going to do this task and I think it's going to take me 10 task blocks and I work on it for 10 task blocks and I'm not even like halfway done, then I also feel like a failure, right? But when I say I'm going to work 10 and I work 10, regardless of what I get done, I feel awesome. So I can't figure out how to make days of the week work with 3 kids and online work. My days look so different. I don't always have the energy when I need it. Exactly. And so it works so much better to be like, okay, my goal, and truthfully, my goal number changes. I don't necessarily make it the same each week. And so I say, like, I'm going to work, I'm trying to just pull out a number. Like, let's say I think this week my goal was to do like 36 task blocks or something like that over the course of the week. And I made a temporary map out of like how many I was going to do each day. Then that's how I pick my tasks for the week. And then Monday, I tracked my task blocks and I did some number. Yesterday, I did some number. So I have some number left that I'm trying to get to. And if I don't do them today for whatever reason, then I have Thursday, I have Friday. I tried to avoid the weekends. I mean, this weekend I'm working. But I just make it a goal to work that number. And then that's the end. I don't know if I'm doing a really good explanation. I can never figure out how long things are take. Do you pick your time amount by the week or by the quarter? So this past quarter is the first time I actually did it this way. I did it for the quarter. Like I picked a number for the quarter. It didn't end up being anywhere close to that number. And I solidify them for the week. I am also doing an entire video right now on this process. I did one years ago, that some of you probably watched, called How I Plan My Life. And I show this process there. That has changed a lot, obviously, since moving to Chicago, having a baby. I'm refilming that video literally right now as we speak. I filmed the intro and part 1 yesterday. I'm filming more of it today and then more of it next week. And it's going to be a couple of weeks before it comes out, because I just wanted to make sure that I was giving it my all and that I was being very thoughtful about explaining it and having it make sense. And so it's going to take me a little bit of time to film all the parts and then my editor to get all of it edited. So it will be up at probably the end of October. But I think it's going to be super, super helpful. And again, like you said, you get caught up on it has to be this way. It doesn't have to be. I'm going to be sharing what works for me. And hopefully for some of you, especially if you have kids and you work for yourself, it's hopefully going to be super helpful for you. For those of you who that is not your life, it may not be that helpful, but hopefully it will at least help explain my thought process, my brain of like how I get from my annual goals in life and work all the way down to daily. So this seems obvious, but pairing tasks could relieve some stress about getting more things like, hey, I'm here doing this. I might as well do this. Totally. I think it depends on what your tasks are. And like I try to pair things, like if I have my hair and makeup done, I try to pair other things that I am going to be on camera for. Like that's why I'm filming today after I'm done with the live, because I'm already ready for the day. But sometimes my energy just doesn't flow with the plan that I made. And so I just have to pivot. Okay. So hopefully that was helpful. Yeah, I'm excited for that video too. And hopefully that will answer a lot of questions on kind of like how my brain works in terms of task blocks from like start to finish. Okay. Allison, ambition to work on projects that don't have a due date. Self-inflicted due dates don't work for me. Self-inflicted due dates don't always work for me either, truthfully, unless there is a way to make it like unavoidable, like you schedule something and so it has to be done by that date. Or like there's a way that you can make it a self-inflicted, but like you can't avoid it. But if you can't, I also feel that way. So this is where ambition to me is just kind of a different word for motivation, and motivation is really, really difficult to find and even harder to keep. And the answer really is going to be momentum. Likely this project or projects that you're referring to, they're big and it's going to take you a while. And so inflicting a due date doesn't even feel like it matters, because you're like, I don't even know if that's the right due date because I can't even really estimate it. And so instead, what I would suggest is that you break it down. I know you know this, but I'm telling you again. You break it down again into smaller steps so that you start to make progress. And then typically what happens is once you start to work on those projects, you start to see progress, it's going to help you. I'm sorry if you're distracted by the people in the background, because I am. I don't know what is going on back there. But it's distracting me. You start working on those steps and you start seeing that progress, and that helps encourage you to keep going. And it doesn't matter what the due date is. It doesn't matter when or like what the timeline is that you're going to achieve that. What matters is that you start doing it, is that you start and you use that momentum to keep you going. And then sometimes, procrastination with just beginning the project is where I struggle. Sometimes the suggestions I have for getting that off the ground, number one is you make it as small as possible so that it just seems so silly. Number two, I am not above a reward or a bribe to get yourself started, right? You do this one step and then you get to watch this TV show, or you get to go get ice cream, or you go work at a coffee shop that you're really excited about to do that first step. But it's that first step, that getting through that is the hardest part. It's the hardest part. But then once you do that, it makes it the momentum can help carrying you through. And then the due date that part of it doesn't even matter. And so it's focusing on the beginning. And so try not to worry about the entire plan. Try not to worry about the last step. Try just to focus on the first step. All I have to do is this first step. That's all I have to do. That's all I have to do. Yeah, just do it. I know. And I know that like, that's so much easier said than done, depending on what it is. I know it is. But it is It's usually the only way. The people behind you are entertaining. I know. I don't know what they're doing back there. Breaking the steps down to a granular level, both personally and professionally, seems to really be a barrier. It's so interesting to me because that is regularly a question. Like people, like when I do FAQ or whatever, it's like, I don't know how to break down my goal. I feel like I sorry, they're like, you can't see them, but I can, and it's loud and distracting. What holds us up a lot is that we think there has to be a perfect way to break it down, right? Breaking down our goals, it does not need to be as complicated as we're probably making it. And I've totally been there. I've totally been there where I've so overcomplicated the breakdown process, and it just so I get in my head about like, oh, I need this perfect plan from A to Z. I need to know exactly how long everything is going to take. And like, that is just not true. What I really want you to prioritize is not worrying about the finish line and breaking down just the beginning. What's the first step? That's it. That's all you need to know to start, is what's the first step, and breaking down that first step. And if you really are struggling, let's chat, because I do also feel like I've gotten pretty good over the years at breaking down goals. I have videos on breaking down goals. You can obviously reference if it's something that you need, but it's it gets easier with time. Like the more that you break down goals, the easier it gets to break down more goals. Gaining momentum is hard when you can't do the first step, but you can do it. Make the first step as small as possible. Bribe yourself to get it done. Sometimes that's just what you have to do. Or get some extra accountability to get that first step. Overthinking and overcomplicating are my specialty. Break it down one step at a time. You don't need the entire plan. You don't need A to Z. You just need A. Do you ever feel like you can't do something until you schedule time to stop and think? Sometimes that is the first step. I've said this before. Making decisions is a step. And so sometimes just like stopping and thinking is the first step. There are times when I have business goals, and the first step in my like breakdown is make a plan, right? Because the plan is so big that I can't do that in my like planning session, if that makes sense. Like when I'm working on my business goals, sometimes when I need to break down something, I know it's pretty straightforward. Like I can break it down. It can fit within the confines of the goal setting session. But sometimes there's not time for that. So sometimes the step one just has to be thinking or breaking down or planning, right? And don't think about that as like over planning or using planning as procrastination. Sometimes, depending on the project, you just might need time to like sit and think about it. I've heard that just a tiny amount of time, 1 minute to 2 minutes, to start something in a very small way so that something is already started. Yeah, totally. Making decisions is the first step. It totally is. Like there are times when someone's like, well, I'm going to read. Well, the first step to that is, what are you going to read? What book are you going to read? Or I'm going to clean the house. Okay, well, the first step is where? A lot of times the first step is a decision. And if it is a more simple decision, do your best to make that decision when you are planning, right? Like if, on my goals, I have like read a book. I knew exactly what book, or finish book. I knew exactly what book I was talking about. But because I wrote finish. But if I didn't know what book, I would encourage you to pick that book before the month even starts, because that decision is typically the first step, and that can sometimes hold you back. Great question. Anything else? What else is on your mind? I feel like we kind of just have like flowed topics. It hasn't been quite as distinct, but hopefully, especially as we go into breaking down goals for Q4. And then, the new year is right around the corner. Breaking down our goals for the new year. We don't need the whole plan. Let me give you an example. Sometimes when I pick my goals for the quarter, I will map out like what I'm going to do in month 1 and month 2 and month 3 to get myself to that finish line, right? Sometimes I just pick action steps along the way and I don't map it out. This quarter, I did a better job of mapping it out so that I didn't have to have a goals in December. So, secret spoiler alert, one of my Q4 goals is to focus on some skincare. My skin has been not liking me lately. And so there were 4 things that I came up with when I broke it down. The first is like AM skincare first thing in the morning, just like cleaning my face off with micellar water and spraying like this hydration mist that I just like really love the way it smells. I'm pretty good at that one, but like that was one. Step 2 was like AM after that. So moisturizer, sunscreen. That one I'm not as good at because sometimes I'm not getting ready for the day. And so I'll skip over that one. Then there's PM skincare and then a weekly face mask. If I was operating in a regular quarter, I probably would have just done AM1 in month 1, AM2 in month 2, and then PM in month 3. But we're doing a no goals December. I'm definitely getting into next week's topic. But so I did both AM1 and AM2 in October. That way I could do PM in November and then nothing in December. That was me thinking ahead to like what I want the breakdown to look like. But sometimes I don't do that. Sometimes I'm just like, okay, I'm going to pick this step for this month. And that is going to be my step that I think about. And by not worrying about the future breakdown pieces of it allows me to just start and get that momentum going by not overcomplicating it. Because done is better than perfect. It's perfect timing. Anything else? What else is on your mind? Any other questions? How are we feeling about moving into getting set up for Q4, the holidays? I know we talked about football last time. I know I asked you last live, which was 2 weeks ago, who your football teams were. And which is funny because it was like going into the first weekend. And now there's been 2 weeks of games. And some of our football teams have performed great. And some of our football teams have performed poorly. Very poorly. Like the Cowboys forgot how to play defense on Sunday. So that was fun for all of us. Anything else? Needed today's advice before Q4. You're very welcome. It's going to be great. There's still, like I said, there's still 100 days left. Where'd the little pop-up go? There's still over 100 days actually left in the year. We have a whole quarter. So much time. What did you think about Arch Manning? I think he is young and green and I wish we'd given him maybe a little bit more field time last year. So he wasn't quite so like, oh my gosh, brand new. But he is athletic. His athleticism is unmatched. Even more so than his uncles. Now, I don't remember watching them in their prime, like in college. I remember watching them obviously in the NFL. But he just looks so, I know he's younger than like when I have memories of watching, Eli and Peyton, but he's just so athletic. And I think, he, although if you don't care about football, obviously, I will keep this brief, but I think that he made a great decision in going to Texas and under Sark. I think Sark is a fantastic coach who is going to turn him into a fantastic quarterback. So feeling good about the future of Texas. That's all I got to say. Are you going to take more dance classes? I would like to. I think somebody asked me this maybe a couple of weeks ago. And I said that speaking of summer and fall, right, seasons, they have way less classes in the summer. And I have not seen a fall calendar from them. I don't like that doesn't make any sense because like school's back in session. Let me put this back. I have not seen a fall adult classes. They've released their fall like kids classes, but I haven't seen a fall adult classes from them. So I need them to kind of release that. But then at the same time, going back to football, it's also tough because I I like to watch football. And so there's only so many evenings that exist. So we'll see. I do love it, but it's definitely tough to prioritize right now. Is there a specific time for the community calls, like every week on Tuesday at 6 p.m.? So they are always at the same time. They are always at 6 p.m. Central or 7 p.m. Eastern. The day of the week is not always the same. Sometimes it's usually a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. But I will always release the calendar in advance so you can see what days. This week it was on Tuesday. Next week it's on Wednesday. It depends kind of on what else is going on that week in the world and in my life as well. Yeah, so much more athleticism than his uncles. And yeah, Ewers has definitely grown under Sark. Ewers is just so injury prone that it's so tough. So hard. But we'll see. We will see. I'm not trying to get my like super hopes up for Texas this year, but they look good. And they're number one. So, but the only way up from number one is down, which is a tough place to be. Yeah, my best friend and I were talking on Sunday before the results came out, and it was like, kind of wouldn't hate staying number two. Number two feels a little safer than number one, but it's exciting because they have not been number one since we were freshmen in college. So it's crazy, crazy. All right, y'all, we are almost done. I think we're kind of done with questions. So I'm going to ask you my last question, which is, what is the one thing you are going to do this week to make progress on your goals? What is the one step you're going to take to set yourself up for success? Is there a decision that you need to make? Is there something that you need to break down? Or what is that one small step that you need to take to kickstart that momentum? Y'all know the small steps, they do add up, even if it's just giving you that momentum. You might feel like the step is so small that it's not getting you any closer. And truthfully, it is. But more importantly, it's building your confidence and building you that momentum to then keep doing the next step and the next step. And then it all will add up over time. So if you are here live, let me know in the chat what your one step is. If you are watching the replay, let us know down in the comments. My one thing is to get the planner finished, the 2025 version of the planner. I need to get that done so that it can go, so that I can record a video about it, so that I can go live. I cannot believe it. We're already here. Q4 planning and deciding on a system for next year, breaking down each step for Q4, brainstorm this project. I love it. I love it. Do some preliminary planning for next quarter. Lots of prep and planning for next quarter. I totally feel that. All right, before we wrap up, if you have watched all the way to the end, I would very much appreciate if you would give it a thumbs up and comment with a sun emoji, since we spent most of the time talking about summer. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me this week. I will see you next week.